Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of The Next Perfect Step. Today, we have quite a show for you. We'd like to talk about the August energies, what we're going to be feeling, what kind of themes are coming up this month for us to take a look at. Both me and Lori love a gentleman that we listen to, Lee Harris. He does energy updates. I think one of the things I like best about Lee is just that he has very kind energy, a very calming energy, very non-judgmental. And so he's just so easy to listen to. And he makes things so practical for you. Wouldn't you agree, Lori?
Yes, I love his energy. I feel like just very comfortable listening to him. I feel like he's very loving and genuine and connected. He does channel his guides, the Z's, and he has a community called The Portal, and he has his website is leeharrisenergy.com. He's also, I love him because he's a musician. He's an amazing musician. He does these beautiful collaborations with other musicians, and it's just beautiful. Very soul healing, very just uplifting. I love it.
Yeah, he's great. And I love that even when, he's talking about challenging energies and stuff, he's so non-fear based. He just helps you work through them and, relates to, that it may be uncomfortable and that fear may be coming up, but here's how we get through it. Here's how we can work with it. And I love that about him. Yeah. And yes, he's a beautiful musician. He has fabulous work. So we're going to go over his themes today, and we're going to talk a little bit about, the themes that are coming up, how we see them and relate to them in our lives. And we're also going to put the link down in the comments. So if you want to watch his video of the August energy updates and hear more about what him and the Z's have to say and their guidance, you can do so. So I'm going to go over some of the energies that he talked about, and then we'll discuss one each individual. There's been 4 major themes for August: surfing waves of tenderness, letting go of old stories, stepping into leadership and wanting to be a part of new earth, and action forward momentum. Okay, so surfing the waves of tenderness, opening to the heart system. We have the mind system, the lower mind, and then we have the heart system. The heart system is where we find the upper mind, our connection to all, and our tenderness. But it's looking at the areas of August that are going to come up where we're getting frustrated with ourselves, with others, and where we need to show how instead to bring in that tenderness, right? So sometimes I can get really frustrated with myself. I'll start to think, maybe I'll have a negative thought or something, and I'll start telling myself no, and I'll start some affirmations, and I'll try and stuff down my feelings of frustration or uncomfortability. And really, instead of not acknowledging that and sitting with it and releasing and letting go, if I brought tenderness into those feelings of frustration, that it's easier to let go of, and then telling myself, no, you're not supposed to be thinking that way. You're only supposed to be thinking positive. What's wrong with you, Lori? Or other people. I mean, I have, especially the people in my lives that I really care about, when I can see them going over the same cycle over and over and over again. And I just want to shake them and be like, I can see it. Why can't you see it? And getting frustrated with them, that really what I need to do is bring in tenderness. I don't need to be lecturing them. I don't need to be trying to bypass their lessons. I need really to see those areas where I can bring more tenderness in.
Right. I agree. Seeing them from a place of compassion. And number one, really, the hardest thing to do, as you said, is to be compassionate with ourselves. Our self-talk sometimes is just awful, right? If you catch yourself, what are you saying to yourself in your head? It's not very good. But yeah, I think I agree. I've started to shift my thinking about allowing frustrations to come in and just sitting with that frustration instead of trying to stuff it, as you said, try to get rid of it. Just sit with it and just go, okay, see it with your eyes of compassion and tenderness. And that's not what we've been taught to do. We've been taught to you shouldn't feel this way. You're supposed to be peaceful, or you're supposed to be this way. And, we need all of it. We need to include all of it, and through the eyes of compassion and through our heart center, as you said, that's the waves of tenderness, inclusive of everything and everyone, and especially of ourselves and our own imperfections, and faults, as we look at them that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially on this journey, right? We've been doing things a certain way for so long, and now we're observing it and we're realizing it and we're changing. And when we fall back into our old ways, we really beat ourselves up. And it's really the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing. We're just supposed to be noticing and observing that we're still having, this whole spiritual thing, those feelings and anger is never going to go away, right? We're still going to have moments of anger, and anger's here to teach us something, right? It's not to get stuck or to react to those feelings. And instead, a new opening for us is instead, now that we've observed it, that we know a new way, that we want to bring more light in, and that we don't want to feel that way, right? So we don't want to stay stuck in that way. So, now we can learn to bring tenderness into all of it, and Lee Harris has given us 3 ways of helping us with that. One is expressing those feelings, talking to someone. Like I always have Lori to talk to. And if you don't have anyone you feel comfortable talking with, you can always journal, writing all of those emotions down and getting it out of you really does help. And then the next step is releasing, right? Releasing consists of crying, giving yourself the time to feel the feelings without judgment. I think that this has been, for me, judgment has been like a theme for this year, is releasing judgment of ourselves and of others, and what judgment was here to teach us, what we've learned from judgment, and how to release it. So sitting with your feelings without any judgment, without judging that the feeling's wrong or good or bad. No, it's just a feeling, right? And the next one is to self-support. What can you do to support yourself? Or can you seek support from someone? Can you call a Reiki practitioner? Do you need to see a therapist? We shouldn't be afraid of whatever type of support you need, right? If you need a therapist, then you need to seek one. Don't let the beliefs of other people or the stigmatism around things from stopping you from getting what you know you need.
Good point.
So the other thing is, are you supporting other people to a detriment of burning yourself out? Are you one of the, people who people come to for support, but you're not supporting yourself? So that's just something to look at. I mean, there really has to be a balance. We're all here to support one another, but not to burn yourself out and not to minimize your own self-support and your own seeking of getting the same support you're giving other people.
That's very important. Yeah. Because if you're constantly giving out and not filling your own self back up, you need that. And I think that's a theme I've been hearing a lot. Take some time, just be still, do something that makes you happy. Just make some time for yourself. You might be the busiest person, but you can always take a little time to go for a little walk, breathe, hug, be with your pets, whatever makes you happy. You need that time. You need those nurturing, caring, self-supporting techniques. The more that you can get, obviously, is going to help you. But I think that's essential. It is for me, because when I'm not getting that, I start to get irritable, and I think, well, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? And it's because I'm not paying attention to what I need. I'm just running around or taking care of other things rather than taking care of what I need to be able to recenter, rebalance myself. And I always feel, if I'm feeling out of balance, that's when I notice and I go, all right, for me, I need to be peaceful and centered as much as possible. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we talk about, like you said, isolation, but isolation doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? It doesn't mean that you have to isolate yourself from the entire world. Isolation could mean just you and one friend one-on-one, or like you said, you and the animal. It's giving yourself the time to get out of the crazy whirlwind, right? Or you doing for other people. Isolation can just be a time where you're filling yourself up. It doesn't have to mean you have to sit alone, or going out into nature, right? You can go and sit with nature, right? But to break the old stagnatism of, isolation means you have to go into a dark room and sit by yourself. Isolation just means, like you said, to sit and listen to what you're really looking for, what you need, and it being on a lower scale. So instead of being around a group of friends, maybe you just do a one-on-one, or you sit and you talk to your animal, right? I mean, sometimes that's more healing than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or sitting and listening to a podcast or somebody talk, or reading a book where, you're isolated from the hectic energies, but yet you're being filled up with something, right? Something you want to learn about, or you want to hear, or you want to be a part of, or just something, calming and soothing, like your music, or sitting with your music or dancing, something like that.
Right.
Can be really healing.
That's true. And Lee Harris talks about the importance of the cycles of energy. Like you can, sometimes the cycles are more frenetic and fast paced in the world that we're all collectively experiencing. So if that energy is building up and accelerating, and do you want to be a part of that? That's kind of part of the energy update that he says later. But you can either choose to be a part of that, building up energy, or you can just sit back and like take a time out, say, I need some time to myself. I need to rest. I don't want to be in this fast-paced energy right now. I need for myself to be more centered and calm. So you can make those choices too, whether you want to participate in that or you need some rest. That's important.
Yeah, and I think that's big with us, right? We don't value rest, right? We think we have to be doing something. If we're not doing something, we're unproductive or we're failing or we're being lazy. And we do. We need rest. We need the unwind time. We need self-care. And that's a big part of it. Changing that belief that it's okay to sit and do nothing. It's okay to sit and look at the ocean. It's okay to sit and be with the breeze outside and do absolutely nothing. Like, that is really healing.
I remember years ago, I read this book called Permission to Nap. And it was basically about how our Western society doesn't really give permission to nap. Like, oh, I have to do the laundry, or I have to do this. But where other cultures, that's a big part of their day, is the siesta or the rest, and just shutting down for the afternoon, and everybody takes a rest. That's built into their culture. But for us, we deny that for ourselves. We're like, no, I have to do something. There's something wrong with me. I have to do something. But no, you don't. You take a nap, just rest, or like Lori said, sit outside and listen to the breeze.
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely a society of burnout. So we need to change that.
Yeah.
Love to nap during the day.
Right.
That sounds excellent to me. And the next theme is action forward momentum, right? Which is kind of sounds like the opposite of what we just talked about.
Right. The momentum energy. Exactly.
Right. But action doesn't always mean go, go, go. It doesn't mean always doing something. It's being brave to take the new step. And action forward is allowing new in. All right. We want a lot of things, but then when we get it, we have feelings we didn't expect to have, or know if we really want that anymore once we get it. And these feelings can be surprising, but can we still let it in? Or do we push it away with those feelings? Is that when we put the block up? I know me and Lori were talking not too long ago, that I've come to realize about myself is that when I get what I want, and when I'm really excited, like I was really, really excited about us starting this podcast and sharing our conversations. And I realized that when I get what I want, I go into resistance and depression, which is extremely surprising. And the opposite, I got what I wanted. I am thrilled that things are going my way, that I can see the signs the universe are giving me, and I'm following the steps, and it's exciting. And I have these moments of pure bliss. And then I go into depression and resistance. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I've gone through periods of trying to figure it out, right? Am I afraid of success? Which I think there was a layer of that. And I also feel like through my life and maybe other lives, that when I've had success, there's been the shoe that's dropped. And so I'm already feeling that it wasn't good enough, that I've succeeded, but it's not quite good enough. And so those feelings come in, and that might be a layer of it. And there may be still more layers that I haven't really come up for me to be aware of yet. But I am learning to continue to still let it in. I'm sitting with my resistance and saying, okay, I feel the resistance, but I do want this. I am excited about this. I love doing this, and I'm going to let it in and keep going. And then allow that resistance and depression to go away. And each time it gets quicker and quicker. I'm not sitting in that longer. but it does come up. So this is the action forward momentum. Can your old stuff still come up and you still take the next step? Can you sit with uncomfortability, recognize it, and still let the new in?
That's a big one. I like something that I admire about you, Lori, is that you always do take a look. You're not afraid to take a look at what's going on. You're not afraid to, part the curtain and go, okay, what's behind the door over there? And I admire that about you. And your insight today was really interesting because there's a lot of layers, isn't there? There's like societal layers. There's our own, maybe our family stuff. You don't know where it's all come from, but you sit with it, you see it, you recognize it, because before we may not have even seen it, or we might not have even noticed what it was, or that it was there, but you notice now that it's there. You're like, okay, hello, I see you, but we're still going on this trip. We're still stepping forward. So let's go. You can come with us if you want to. You're not. But we're going.
And I would get really frustrated with myself. I mean, you've seen it at times. Like I get really frustrated with why am I feeling this way, and really trying to move it out before I worked with it and released it, trying to push it and push it out.
Yeah.
But I learned each time, I couldn't get there right away. And like you said, there are layers. Like there's been so many times where I'm like, why is this coming up again? I've already worked on this. I've already done this. But there's more layers you've learned and you've processed. And now a bigger chunk has come up to be released.
Well, you and
can we allow that? Right.
You and I.
This is, sorry.
You go.
This is the part that we talk about where, spirituality is about love and light, and it is, but it's messy. We're dragging ourselves out of the mud, right? Layer by layer. And that part's not pretty. The result's beautiful. And just like, the lotus coming out of the mud, but we have to be okay with the mud. The mud's been a part of us and is a part of us for a really long time. And it's bringing that tenderness that we talked about in, right? That I see the mud, I acknowledge that the mud was a part of me and it was there for a reason. And can I lovingly wash it away? And without being angry with myself that I have mud on me.
Yes. Not rejecting the mud.
Yeah, right. Not judging it.
Yeah.
Right. Not rejecting it, not judging it, but now lovingly giving myself the opportunity to wash it away.
You and I had a conversation today where I was in a little muddy situation, and I brought it up, and you said to me in a very loving way, I see you, but you're my friend and it's all good. You were just so loving in what I thought was going to be something that was uncomfortable for me to bring up within myself, that was bothering me from bothering myself. You just were so loving, and thank you for that.
Well, because I love you. And because you are that friend for me. We support one another through those muddy times. I see you covered in mud. You see me covered in mud. And we can support one another while we get to bathe, right? Like we get to take the mud off of ourselves. I'm not taking the mud off for you, but I get to hold you while you take the mud off. And that's what you've done for me. And, these conversations we're hoping helps support other people to do the same thing. I mean, I think that's what me and Lori are so passionate about. Is we're going to talk about this is going to come up too, but I just, I'm so passionate about that I'm here to support. We're here to support. We're not here to do for other people, right? It's your healing, right? I tell all my clients, it's your healing path. You're your healer. I'm here to support you to find your healing journey, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's, I mean, we're all going through things and we all can take each other's hand and just be there for each other.
Yeah.
We'd just love to hear, any of your comments and what you've gone through. We'd love to hear about it and just support you too.
Absolutely. So going into the same thing that we're talking about, which just goes into the old, is letting go of old stories, which is another theme that's coming up for this month, right? Can we observe the stories that we've been repeating and telling others over and over again that we're stuck in? We're stuck in these old stories because that's what we know how to do, right? I can't swim because when I was little, somebody threw me in the water and now I'm afraid of water. Well, that's an old story, right? And yes, you may still be afraid. This doesn't mean that that it didn't happen to you, that it doesn't exist. But it doesn't have to keep you in fear. No, you don't have to go swimming, but you don't have to keep repeating the fear and the story over and over and over again. The same thought of coming up, and we can release it. And it's really about, like I said, the story that it didn't not happen to you. The story doesn't actually go away, but can you release the emotional attachment to the story is really what the goal is if you can release the fear or the emotional attachment to that story, then you've released it. We have a story, a societal story about good and bad, light and dark, right? But we were all born in darkness. We were in darkness in our mother's womb. Think about when you see pictures of the universe. It's black with lights of galaxies and stars, and there's color in there, but the background is all dark. But we've been so taught to be afraid of the darkness and that the darkness means evil fear. But it doesn't. To me, darkness means the unknown. And yes, the unknown can be really scary, but it can be really amazing too. And we hold ourselves back from the unknown because we're afraid, when really it could be absolutely magical. I mean, think about the universe. Some people are afraid of the vast universe, and other people think it's absolutely wonderful and magical. Can we release those old stories? Without the darkness, you don't have light. Without light, you don't have darkness. I mean, you need the contrast. And there's a balance. We're kind of getting rid of the duality. I think going out of 3D, we're going out of duality. Something very interesting I heard, but it's going to take us off topic, so maybe we'll come back. But there was a conversation I heard recently about dimensions, 3D, 4D, 5D, 6, going up. And as you go up, so we're the planet of emotions, of feelings. And as you go up in dimensions, we lose, the feelings don't exist anymore. And that's a whole nother topic, right? So we don't have attachment to feelings. They have a different feeling of love than we do. We have a physical conditional feeling of love where they don't. It's a whole nother rabbit hole. We'll go down another time because that's a big rabbit hole. I'm all over the place with that topic.
Dimensions are not necessarily up, but they're here with us now. Like the spiritual dimensions are with us, and we can just, it's a shift in your consciousness and your vibration is raised. So that's the way to shift into other dimensions is a shift in your own consciousness.
Right. And that's what, my understanding, or something that I've heard in a conversation is that we have an aspect of ourselves in every dimension. Right. I mean, there's a theory or a conversation around that, when we shift up to 5D, people who are still in the third dimension, we won't interact, we'll separate from them. But I don't find that to be true, because we have higher beings, higher dimensional beings who communicate with us. So how do we not, and I think that like I said, that we have an aspect of ourselves in every dimension. So we can interact with all of them. Right? Yeah, it's a big rabbit hole for me. It's a conversation we could have for a really long time.
Yeah.
Or I could have a lot of many rabbit holes. Because I find it fascinating. I find it fascinating the way different people think about it. And as Laurie knows, I like to kind of spew it all out there to kind of figure out how I really feel about it. So yeah. But getting rid of the old stories. Now, the old stories for us and for the world, right? Like, it's time to move past a lot of things. And in order to do that, we have to let go of the emotional story, the emotional attachment we have to these things. And I do feel that in a lot of areas, I mean, and this is only the beginning, especially more on a world societal thing. Like I said, like we just talked about, there's many layers to those. So by me saying the August energy is us letting go, it's the beginning of us letting go. It's the beginning of observing these things and finding the way to emotionally detach from them. That doesn't happen overnight.
Absolutely. Right. This is a process. Yeah. But the awareness of the process is beginning to shine through the energies that are coming through. And the old ways are going to be breaking down. So it's a process of letting go on lots of different layers. In the world, in ourselves, in our communities. It's a big process. It's a shift, but it's going to be worth it.
Right. Right. And we're going into, Lee talks about this too. We're going into uncharted waters. Mm-hmm. So the new way is not a way that has ever been done by anyone. So it's the unknown for all of us. And like we talked about bringing the support in, we do need to support one another. As we said, the darkness, the unknown can be scary, but it can be wonderful. And we have to support ourselves to take that momentum to go in that direction.
I agree. The next energy update
is, are you listening to your life?
Okay.
So things are happening for us, not to us. Is that something that you can even accept, right? Are you shaping your future consciously, right? So are you waking up in the morning and deciding what kind of day you're going to have? Can you self-direct your life? Right? We get to be in control if we can watch where we're not, right? So if we get up in the morning and we're feeling grumpy, can we set the intention, nope, today I'm going to have a great day, and stay there, so that when during the day something frustrating comes up, you get a flat tire or something, you could say, which is not easy at all, I totally acknowledge this, but this isn't happening to me, this is happening for me. And it could be just an opportunity to say that, yes, I got a flat tire, but I didn't get into an accident. No one got hurt. I have AAA. I'm near my house. I'm safe. Can you redirect your feelings and you be in charge? Can you say to yourself, nope, I'm not going to let this ruin my day. I'm not going to have a bad day from here on out.
We just had a
So-
flashback, so that's very
Yeah.
timely.
Again, like I said, it's not easy. This one's not easy. But we are in charge. We are in charge of our feelings. We are in charge of our lives, and we have to take responsibility for that. Again, that's another very big subject and a lot of different avenues that go down. That's very hard to understand. But it's those baby steps, right? It's the little things. Can you just take your day where you got a flat tire and not let it ruin your day? You know, I don't think we have to go big and huge into, you know, some other subjects that are harder to understand. And you don't need to right away, right? You got to take the baby step first. And some things aren't always meant to be able to understand. You know, sometimes you just accept, okay, I don't get it, but I can accept that I'm in control of my life. I can accept that this happened for some reason I don't understand, and I'm just going to move on from it. I'm not going to try and dissect it. I'm not going to try and understand it. I don't have to relive it. I just have to find an accepting and bringing in that tenderness of acceptance and move on. Continue to live. Continue to not let that story control every day of your life.
Right. And like you and I talk about, or we've talked about before on this podcast as well, is just allowing what is to come in and not really being in super resistance to it, because what is happening is for us, like you said, not to us, but just allowing that to happen and just to go on in your day.
Yeah. And the last theme of this month, have we gone enough? Have we had enough energy this month? We got one more. It's fatigue of the world story, right? It's tired of seeing and hearing all the chaos that's been going on in the world, right? All the anger, all the fighting and the separation, and it's tiring, right? And it goes back to, can we give ourselves the time to disconnect from that and to support ourselves from that and know that this is going to cause change?
And growth.
And growth, right. Right.
Growth. Mm-hmm.
But it's exhausting.
It's
exhausting. And can we give ourselves time away from that? Or to step back and not get emotionally attached to what's going on. And that's like a self-protective thing, right? You're not acknowledging that it doesn't exist. It exists, but you need time to disconnect from it in order to fill yourself up and strengthen yourself.
You ride the waves of tenderness.
Right. So one of the other things is people this month, more and more people are signing up for leadership, that there are more leaders and way showers are stepping up. And can we support one another in leadership? And I think that this goes into the old world story, right? So in order for us, many more people are stepping up into leadership roles and way showers, but can we redefine those roles? And I think that's got to be step number one, right? As I said in the beginning, that I think everybody's their own. I also think that everybody is a leader. And can you accept that? Do you accept that every person is a leader? And what would the world look like if we were all leaders? Well, we're leaders of ourselves, right? We're here to support. So I can be a leader in helping you support you to find the leader inside of you. we have to redefine that a leader has to be this person on a pedestal that everybody has to listen to, right? Where it doesn't, I don't have to make you smaller or beneath me in order for me to be a leader. We can both be leaders and be equal, and no one's less than. We're all leaders, but can I help support you in finding that leadership within you? That's a leader. So, there's more people stepping up as leaders, but can we redefine that definition? Can we redefine that old belief that a leader has to have followers? No, a leader is showing someone that you are a leader and that we can all be leaders together.
And it feels like the way that things are going, the new way that things are going, is that people are going to be more supportive of each other in community, in friendships, and just how can we help each other? How can we build a new way? How can we do things a little bit differently than what has been done? How can we do it together? How can we do it together? Is
Right.
huge. Instead of I'm this person that's in charge. No, let's do this together. Let's find a way. Let's put our heads together. Let's put our hands together. Let's put our hearts together and see what happens. What comes out.
Exactly. And it's having a bunch of leaders saying, okay, really leaders are people who have lived it, right? So, I'm leading you in showing you and supporting you what worked for me. But I could be my own leader by saying, well, this isn't working for me. I'm going to try this other person in their way. So one's not better than the other. One just works for you where one works for somebody else. And that's the community we're talking about, that it can all be done differently. But one's not better. We're all equal and we're all learning. And in, leadership, so I may be teaching you something you didn't know, and then you come back and you figured something else out that I didn't figure out on the journey. And now you're teaching me the next step. So we're all teaching each other, even if one knew something a little bit before the other or tried it before the other, then they're learning something additionally that I didn't see, and they're teaching me.
Good point.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Yeah, and I'm excited about that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really excited for us to change the way we've all been doing it, to change the way we think about things. And, Lori knows me, I'm very big at getting rid of the way that we've all been taught to think about things. And to empower ourselves, define ourselves, that there's no right and wrong way. And I'm excited for us. I'm really excited for us.
Yeah.
So we'll put the link if you want to hear Lee Harris and the Z's talk about the energy. We took the main themes and we related it to our lives and had the conversations around them. But if you're interested in going back and hearing what they have to say and their suggestions, they're wonderful. And I do highly recommend that you go back to the original video and watch their video. But it was exciting.
He does a video every month, the energy update for every month, and covers the themes, and it's very helpful.
Yeah, how to work through them, how to work with them, what it means. It is extremely helpful. And again, he does it in just such a calm and kind way, a supportive way, a really supportive way, that I hope you enjoy it as much as we do. We definitely do. Yeah. So we have a very special extra bonus today. On top of the August energy, Lori has a channel that she's done recently, a new one, and I would really love for her to share that what has come through, and for her to talk to us a little bit about it.
Thank you. Yeah. This was an interesting channeled message, because when it came through, I was a little resistant to, I wrote it down, but I was a little resistant to put it out. I have a blog on substack.com, Lori Tremblay, True You Channeled Writing. But some of the things that it said, I really wanted to change the words, and I thought, I'm asking my guys, can I say this a little differently? Can I change this? And I sometimes use different methods to check with my intuition. The answer was no. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to say what I was given. And I think that a lot of it might make some sense from what we talked about today. But and I think it's a strong message, but it's a very loving message, as always is. So I'd love to read it for you.
Yes, please.
Illumination is of fire, lighting up and fire burning old beliefs. It is shedding old beliefs, tossing them down, stomping on them, because they were meant to manipulate you and to control you. Illumination is come now as the shaker of bad dreams, depositing them like sand on a beach to be washed away into the great waters of the ocean. It is a time for the great cleanup. Load up all the garbage bags and watch them being taken away to be reformed, recycled into truth. Take a flashlight into your mind. What is there? Do you feel inadequate, unworthy, fearful, sad, grief-stricken, angry? What is there? When you see it, you have been taught to reject what you see. That only feeds the deliberate programming and lies of you being separate from divine love. Can you see that there is nothing, absolutely nothing outside of divine love? So anything you uncover in the flashlight of your mind is being invited to the party of divine love. Anything you can create or imagine is invited to be welcomed at the party and transformed in the light and truth of what is. There is only love. You can do nothing to escape the great light of love that you are an integral part of. Illumination is the messenger inviting you to the party.
Yeah, fabulous. It does go along with the energies that we just talked about. Not judging, taking a look about our old stories and our old beliefs. And some of our old stories are those thoughts that keep continuing the insecurities and the fear and the judgment that we have towards ourselves.
Right.
And that was just beautiful.
Yep.
What a strong message.
Strong message.
Sure. Yeah.
We need it. And a loving message. I like the part where we're invited to the party of divine love, and there's only love. That's it. There's nothing outside of love. Nothing.
Absolutely. All those thoughts that are running over and over in our heads are really just lies, right? And we're not insecure. We're not enough. We're not our fear. And those are lies. And all that does exist under all of that underneath is just love. Yeah. And can we find that, right? Can we be brave enough to take the step to look and dig down underneath all of that to find it, right? Getting back into our heart system.
Knowing that it's okay, just because we are loved.
Yeah.
We're all going to make it.
Absolutely. And kudos to you for working through that resistance and allowing the message to come as pure as it was. Yeah, I mean, that was the perfect example right there of being uncomfortable with the message and trying to rearrange it, but knowing that, getting the message that no, it needed to come through in its pure form, and you were brave enough to take the step to do it. So kudos to you.
Thank you, Lori. It's my pleasure. I just love to, I get so much guidance and encouragement from the guides and their messages, and everyone's words of guidance is just so loving from their guides.
Yeah. And I always, every time you put one of them out, it's always a message that is relatable to me. It's something either going on with myself, or I see going on around us, or messages that I've heard from other places. It's always relevant. And it's always that nice support and validation when I hear your messages.
I feel that way too. I read them. I'm like, I needed to hear that today. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all from love. It's all encouraging us and guiding, and just, I think we've got a bunch of cheerleaders.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we'd love to hear from you. How have these energies or Lori's message sat with you? Is it relevant, or has it brought validation to what you needed to hear? How are the energies this month showing up for you? We'd love to hear from them. We'd love to hear from you, and love to hear them. Yeah, I'm excited.
And this is episode 5 of the Next Perfect Step, and we look forward to seeing you on episode 6.
Have a great night.
Thank you.